This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. I am Justin FREAKIN. Oh shit, I was actually going to do something. It was going to be funny, but I completely forgot about it. We got a great show for you tonight. The lawyer who argued against Rudy Giuliani in court, Rudy's first actual court appearance in like 3 decades. The lawyer who argued against him is going to describe the bonkers scene inside the courtroom. We've got video of senators sparring over the wearing of masks. Sarah Palin is back in the news. She's got thoughts on Barack Obama's new book. Nancy Pelosi has been re-elected as the Speaker of the House, unfortunately. We're going to talk about that and the progressive movement that she's going to be coming up against in her last term as Speaker of the House. Plus, Ben Shapiro is going to tell us what makes a manly man. And the Pope is horny. All that and so much more. Plus, if we got time, we might go over to Parler, do a little trolling over there. I'm still in Facebook jail, but we're getting close to me being released on the masses yet again. Just a couple more days until the Freak Daddy returns to the Facebook. Okay. Before we get started here, I want to play something that I found hilarious. I want you guys to listen to this.
And special thanks to Ted Enley for our music and Craig Mullins for our
Justin.
And his friend Gail, by the way.
Gail and Craig are brothers and sisters.
Justin Mullins. I knew it when I said it.
Love you, Peggy.
So, that's a podcast that I edit because I do actually have a real job. It's doing audio video for people, and that's one of the podcasts I edit. So from now on, just call me Craig Mullins. I'm actually a little uncomfortable that they talk about me, and I've told them not to because you don't want to get my stank on you. I work incredibly blue, and I have some outlandish opinions. So you probably don't want to be throwing my name around. That's a respectable podcast, and that's the reason why I'm not saying the name of the podcast. It's actually a really good podcast. I would recommend it. But I don't want to get my stank on them. Okay, last night, there was an issue in Michigan. I can't remember, Fulton County, I believe it was. We've got the video here, but it's, damn it. I think it's Fulton County, which is Detroit. The canvassers that certified the election results for the county, they deadlocked 2-2 because it's 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. And the Republicans were like, oh, we're not going to certify. Well, they got called out, and we're going to listen to them getting called out right now.
We also know that the Secretary of State and the Attorney General have already tweeted out that your legal arguments are rubbish.
They are.
When it comes to court. So we're not worried about that at all. I'm also not worried about any of your...
I think I said last night that Trump was 2-22 in court. I was wrong on that. As of this morning, he is 1-25 in the court challenges. And the one win was just a procedural thing. Didn't get any votes thrown out.
Oh, things are bad, so we can't certify arguments, because that's just ridiculous. You certified in August when they were worse. Less than 50% of the ballots are recountable. Now over 72% are. 58% of them are even balanced when it was less than 30% last time. So it's doubled. It's gotten way better because the Secretary of State actually jumped in and did her job, unlike you. But I know it's not going to change your opinion.
Now, I'm pretty sure the two people he is addressing are the two people that have pictures up and aren't actually live on the call. So unfortunately, we cannot see their faces. while they're getting called out. I believe it's this guy and this woman right here.
You talked about not certifying Detroit, even though you acknowledged that Livonia, a city, by the way, I know you know is 95% white, had bigger variances than Detroit, which is 80% black. We understand, and you now added your name. So I'm not going to try to change your mind. I just want to let you know that the Trump stink, the stain of racism that you, William Hartman, and Monica Palmer have just
maybe I was wrong.
Is going to follow you throughout history. Your
It's not these two people. Sorry.
Going to think of you like Bull Connor or George Wallace. Monica Palmer and William Hartman will forever be known in southeastern Michigan as two racists who did something so unprecedented that they disenfranchised hundreds of thousands of black voters in the city of Detroit because they were ordered to. Probably, I know, Monica, you think Q told you to do it or some other crazy stuff like that. But just know when you try to sleep tonight, that millions of people around the world now on Twitter know the name Monica Palmer and William Hartman as two people completely racist and without an understanding of what integrity means or a shred of human decency. The law isn't on your side, history won't be on your side, your conscience will not be on your side, and Lord knows, when you go to meet your maker, your soul is going to be very, very warm.
Now, apparently, that speech had an effect on them because they reversed course. The results in that county have now been certified. Now, I want you to... Because Republicans accuse the left, Democrats, of constantly calling them racist without evidence, yada, yada, yada. We're not all racist. This was the dude's posts on Facebook. The Hartley, that he was addressing. So, he's totally a racist. You can't really challenge him on that one. Now, when I first checked the news this morning, it looked like Trump was wanting to recount all of Wisconsin, but that would cost his campaign $9 million. So instead, Trump, who is begging for money right now, the campaign was very cash-strapped going into Election Day. He's actually decided only to request recounts in 2 counties now. It's going to cost him about $3 million instead. Dinesh D'Souza tweeted out a video showing us how bad it really is in Georgia as they recanvass. Now, Trump tweets shocking video from Georgia showing how bad this really is. Now, just like the video of Justin Trudeau that we watched last night, let's watch this and see if we can actually figure out what's bad. I don't even know how to make it full screen. Is this it? Okay. This is on Rumble, by the way. You can go watch my videos on Rumble now because I do not let the right-wingers have their safe space. I am all over Parler. I am all over Rumble. You guys can't run from me, you fucking snowflakes. So if you want to view my videos on Rumble, I suggest you don't. Rumble is shit. Does not work very well at all. In my 2 or 3 days on the platform, I've gone, God damn, this place sucks. So please, if you want to watch clips of the Troll Patrol, which you can see moments after the show airs, head over to my YouTube channel. But if you're some kind of fucking masochist or some shit, you can go over to Rumble and watch my videos over there. You can just type in Justin Freakin. So this is Rumble, the Nazi YouTube.
So originally, you had said that was the end of it. So what changed?
They're recanvassing.
I mean, I know that they're 10. The batch sheets.
So you're missing batches?
No, I gotta get the box.
Oh, okay.
They're in 1, 2, 3. They just didn't turn. See how that one's turning and tells me where it is. So we didn't pack our stuff up.
Yeah. Okay, so I thought when you guys had finished completing that box in the other room, you said that was the last of the ballots.
I thought so too.
You thought so too? And then is it the numbers they're getting to suggest that you're missing some, or?
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's not lining up, but we also know that they're here. I mean,
Is it like a precinct missing, or like
no,
what?
no. It's the 10 batches. We know they're 26, and when we broke the admin down and did the RLA, we put them into 26 batches.
Yeah.
And my things are only 11 through 26, so I know.
11 through 26. Okay, so you're missing 11 batches.
Yeah, I gotta find my pen.
Okay.
Now, I assume these are ballots that have already been counted, and they're doing the re-canvass. So this video is supposed to show us how bad it really is. Dude looks organized.
Yes.
I honestly don't know what goes through the minds of right-wingers when they tweet out shit like this. What is this supposed to prove to us? But it's more about messaging. We tweet out a video of a dude shuffling through some boxes and say, look how bad it is in Georgia. And then people fucking retweet it out, never fucking watching the video. I'm sure nobody can explain to me what the fuck about that video proves that it's bad in Georgia. I'd love to know. If you can tell me, feel free to call in 917-830-4359. You can get in the Discord chat. Leave a comment. Usually the comment section is hopping already. The chat is ready to display messages. So, type one in. As I said, Rudy Giuliani made his first court appearance since I think it was 94 that he had been in a courtroom. Apparently he was a little rusty. So this is Rudy coming out of the court last night.
And how do you, if you lose this one, what's the impact on the presidential race?
Well, obviously, if we lose it, we'll appeal it. Everybody knows, right? And then second, there are 7 other cases I have to think about.
Isn't time kind of running thin on you guys?
No. We're still well within the Gore schedule, aren't we?
And are you going to be arguing all the cases from here on out?
Now, remember, Sidney Powell said they had a fire hose of evidence that they were going to be presenting. That was her Friday night on cable news. This is Wednesday evening. What fucking evidence? Where's your evidence, Sidney? Now, let's listen to... Rudy would have been the plaintiff. This was the defense, which would have been on behalf of the state. The guy who argued against Rudy Giuliani in court.
Cartoonishly incompetent efforts to steal the election are not over yet. Rudy Giuliani today appeared before a federal judge in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, to make sweeping and baseless claims. I'm joined now by the attorney who argued against Rudy Giuliani in court today, representing Philadelphia, Allegheny, Montgomery, and Chester counties, Mark Aronchik. Mr. Aronchik, it's good to have you on. First, I wonder if we could just start with what was the case? What was the Trump campaign asserting? What was the argument before the judge?
The Trump campaign came in through Mr. Giuliani asserting a fantasy world.
That's what I've been saying the whole time.
That somehow involves 11 different states in a gigantic conspiracy with the biggest cities in the United States all joining.
Only the cities.
To somehow manufacture votes and change mail-in ballots and somehow throw the election to Joe Biden. And I sat there dumbfounded because the story that was presented by Mr. Giuliani.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
I believe this dude does.
Giuliani bore no relationship to the actual complaint in the case. And, when you're in court, you have to talk about the complaint. You have to talk about your facts. You have to talk about the law. When you're at Four Seasons Total Landscaping, I guess you can talk about anything. There seemed to be no distinction in what I heard today. And I pointed...
And when you're at Four Seasons Total Landscaping, you can bring on your star witness who is a child molester. And right-wingers still take you fucking seriously.
That out very strongly.
It's embarrassing.
So, the complaint, I mean, it sounded like he just sort of gave a kind of Giuliani monologue about all the nefarious actors who are trying to steal the election, independent from whatever the kind of legal claims they were pursuing was. But am I right that the remedy they're seeking here is to throw out all the votes in Allegheny County and in Philadelphia?
Yeah, it was interesting. The remedy kept multiplying as Mr. Giuliani was talking. It started off that he was after 680,000 votes, and by the time he finished his...
just throw out the whole damn election!
I think we were up to 1,200,000 votes, and counting, I guess. It's absurd on its face. In fact, the whole presentation was absurd on its face. But I think what was telling was that when you're in a court and you have to sometimes explain yourself, you have to answer questions that the judge asks, and the judge pressed, is this about fraud? And where is it pled that this is about fraud? And after some hemming and hawing, Mr. Giuliani basically said, no, this wasn't a complaint based on fraud. Instead, it was based on some kind of all I can say is some kind of strange conspiracy idea. But what was also telling was that his opening statement practically was...
I assume that he went into the Dominion bullshit. That seems to be their attack at the moment, judging from right-wing parlor, Twitter, yada yada.
Was that he wanted to amend the complaint again. In other words, they've already amended this complaint once and took out almost everything that they had pled initially. All sorts of propositions fell out of the case. He then said some of that was a mistake. He wanted to put them back in. He wanted to amend the complaint again. It was, the proverbial moving target.
So this dude had so much smoke blown up his ass after 9/11, the America's mayor and all that bullshit. I think he believes he can do no wrong. And these fucking rich assholes, they construct these bubbles. And if you have any semblance of intelligence, the cognitive dissonance is very hard to break through, because you can really make some intelligent arguments about why your bullshit is correct. And if you've been living in this right-wing bubble, which has just gotten worse and worse and worse, and you've had this smoke blown up your ass that you're America's mayor and shit, it results in you losing your goddamn mind. Rudy is batshit crazy. Now, somebody who is not crazy, but is a huge sack of shit, is South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator Lindsey Graham just told a group of reporters in the Capitol that he's also spoken to Secretaries of State in Nevada and Arizona. This is in addition to the Secretary of State in Georgia. He said he's doing it as a senator who is worried about election integrity. This was after it came out that he was pressuring the Republican Secretary of State in Georgia to throw out legally casted ballots. We have proof of election fraud, and it comes from a sitting senator named Lindsey Graham. Now, the Secretary of State in Arizona fired back. This is false. I have not spoken with Lindsey Graham. This is an attempt for Lindsey Graham to say, "Oh no, I'm just checking in on all the different states. I'm worried about the integrity of our election." But this right-wing fantasy world, all this bullshit results in shit like this. Where the Secretary of State in Arizona is getting death threats and groups marching outside of her office.
Video obtained by 12 News shows.
Here we go. This is the video. Because these right-wingers are insane. And they've been spoon-fed complete bullshit. That's a joke from the other night. They've been spoon-fed complete and total bullshit for so long by right-wing media. They are certain that they are correct. I see it every day. I talk to my right-wing friends. I present them the evidence. And they say, "Oh, you're just delusional." Because they are in this echo chamber where they are constantly being reinforced that their fantasy is correct. No matter what you say to them, their response is always going to be, "Oh, well, that's a liberal rag. Oh, well, that's biased, blah, 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 blah." It's like when I debated the old Gore dude. Man, I took his ass to school. I showed him how he was wrong about everything, but at the end of the debate, he thought he had won. I believe that he legitimately believes that. Because he thinks I'm just crazy. Because he gets to go into his little bubble on the Parler, on conservative Facebook, and just have his stupid ass beliefs reinforced over and over and over again. And they don't need evidence. Oh, it's just common sense. Now, I totally believe that Lindsey Graham is an absolutely horrendous human being. Luckily, I am not the only one. A former staffer explains why Graham is everything that's wrong with American politics. And he is. Exactly. Everything's fake news. You are exactly right, Jam. Lindsey Graham is the worst. I worked for Lindsey Graham's 2016 presidential campaign as his national director of ballot access and delegates. As part of his senior staff, I spent one-on-one time with Graham advising him on different political initiatives related to getting him on every primary ballot and securing delegates for the Republican convention. I worked for him because I saw him at the time as a man of moral clout, who was unafraid to speak his mind and who would be a good guide for the American people. Needless to say, I was wrong. Since Donald Trump took office, Graham, the man who told America that Donald Trump was nothing more than a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. That's all these people. There's supercuts all over YouTube and Twitter that you can go and see. All the people that suck Trump's ass to this day were in 2016 talking about how horrible the man was. I think it was even Graham who said if they nominate Trump, the Republican Party will get destroyed and they will deserve it. Every politician moves and shakes in some way. It's the nature of the beast. But for Graham, his song and dance has been more aggressive than most. It includes lies, over-the-top rhetoric, immoral conduct, and a direct assault on our democratic institutions. Now, there was a opinion piece in the Washington Post earlier today that said that Trump was a test for America's democracy, and 9 out of 10 GOP senators are failing that test. I think they're all failing that test. And here's the thing, is Republicans have never given a shit about democracy. I have been saying it for years. Because, God, probably about 6-7 years ago is when it started popping up. When you said the country was a democracy, they look, no, we're a constitutional republic. I'm like, no, that's our system of government. Our system of voting is democratic vote. We elect representatives by democratic vote. We are a democracy. But they've went out on this complete propaganda mission to try to tell people we're not a democracy. So when this time came, when Trump, because let's face it, Republicans don't actually believe in Trump. Surely Lindsey Graham is smart enough to see Trump for what he is, like we said. He pointed out his flaws in 2016. But they see Trump as an opportunity. Unfortunately, Trump is what the Republican voters have always wanted in a politician. Now, as I said last night, I understand why people voted for Trump in 2016. I played you the fist bump between Kamala Harris and Lindsey Graham on the Senate floor. People are tired of performative bullshit from politicians. So I completely get the appeal of Donald Trump. Now, I didn't vote for him, but I also didn't vote for Hillary. I was wrong. I was wrong not to do that. And I've decided that I'll probably never not vote Democratic in a national race for the rest of my life. Because it's more about picking who I feel Hillary would have been a better opponent to have in the White House. Because the last 4 years, what have we gotten done? My show, since I've been doing this show back in April, has been nothing but me playing videos of Republicans and going, God, look how stupid they are. I fancy myself a comedian, but what the fuck can I say that's funnier than just playing their videos and going, God, look how stupid they are. So I wish that it had been Hillary in the White House the last 4 years. She would have made a much better opponent for me, and I might have been able, the progressives might have been able to move her on some policy. Instead, we're having to put out the fire. And maybe we might have been able to mount a challenge to her in the 2020 primary. As disliked as she was, we might have been able to primary her and take her out as sitting president. So I'm happy to admit that I was wrong on that. But I understand why people wanted to vote for Trump, because they wanted him to get in there and fuck shit up. They were tired of the performative nonsense between the two parties. The Democrats are almost like a controlled opposition. And it is because the people that own the politicians, the oligarchs, the billionaires, the multinational corporations, they don't want the Democrats to propose policy. They bought the Democratic politicians just like they bought the entire Republican Party. That's our enemy. And I feel like Hillary would have embodied that so well that a Bernie 2020 in the primary might have very well been able to take her out. We'll never know, though. Now, over on Fox News, even though they're still living in a fantasy world because they're trying not to lose viewers, they know who their base is. And viewers have been fleeing from Fox for shit like Newsmax, OAN. Seriously, he did. But that goes back to the opportunistic shit with the Republican Party. The Republican Party has been wanting to privatize the Postal Service for years. That's why Louis DeJoy, the postmaster, owns stock in some shipping company. The Postmaster General. They saw Trump as an opportunity. Let him create chaos, and then we'll get into all the different bureaucracies in government and fuck shit up. And that's what they did. The post office is a great example of that. Now, on Fox News, it seems like Brian Kilmeade is actually coming to grips with the reality of the situation here.
The United States, while he continues to fight on, and this is probably going to be the end of the week for Pennsylvania if they don't produce something, I think it's going to, in the country's best interest, if he starts coordinating on the virus and starts coordinating with security with the Biden team and just brief them, because on the virus, we're going to be able to get this out as soon as 2 weeks. We need to coordinate on the transportation and implementation, and he'll see how thorough the planning has been, so we don't drop the ball in a little while. Meanwhile,
I wonder just how thorough the planning has been. Kilmeade gets it. Now, Biden has said that it's okay that he's not receiving security briefings because Harris is on one of the intelligence committees in the Senate. So they do actually have a line to knowing what's going on in terms of national security. The access to the vaccine task force and their plans for distributing a vaccine, that is what is important. Because it's going to be Biden overseeing the rollout of the vaccine, not the Trump administration. But you know, even though I was called a snowflake, a cuck, a libtard for years and years, facts don't care about your feelings, yada, yada, yada. According to this dude, we should totally give Trump some time to come to terms with the fact that America doesn't want him anymore.
And I think it's just a matter of a lot of people waiting out until, the president comes to terms with this. Look, we all believe that every vote should count. And
he's a crybaby.
That in this election, every lawsuit that's legitimate could be, gone through. But we have a tradition in this country of looking at the results, congratulating the president-elect, starting the transition process, and going forward. And that is essential to the passage and the strength and the survival of democracy.
I had somebody on Parler last night tell me Joe Biden's not the president-elect. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she said, read the Constitution. I said, okay, I'll buy it. What in the Constitution proves that Joe Biden isn't the president-elect? And she said something about they certify the Electoral College on December 14th. I'm like, okay, but he's the president-elect, meaning he won the election. They don't call it the president certified. Yeah, we covered the story about the 700 deaths from the rallies. And imagine what I would love to see the follow-up to that. I'm great, Disco Rat. How are you? I would love to see the follow-up to that because that story came out, a week before the election? How many rallies did he hold in that week leading up to the election? I can't imagine how many people, but I was saying it the whole time. Anytime we would play video from one of his rallies, like he is trying to kill his followers. Also, I didn't get a chance to talk about it last night. We're just going to briefly touch on it tonight. Apparently, up until last week, Trump was dead set on attacking Iran. Now, I don't like the way the New York Times frames this. I hate the fucking New York Times. Bunch of neoliberal, war hawk pieces of shit. I can't imagine that they don't want the Trump administration to attack Iran. To stop its growing nuclear program. You know what would have stopped its growing nuclear program? The deal we had with them just a couple of years ago until Trump pulled out. Let's hope Biden gets back into the Iran deal. But this is just another example of Trump wanting to fuck as much shit up as he can. And I'm sure, knowing the Republican Party the way I know them, I'm sure there are war hawks all around him. They're like, yes, bomb Iran, bomb Iran. This fucking John McCain sang the song in, what was it, 2008? Bomb, 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 bomb Iran. They have been wanting to do this for years. You were like, I don't like your phrasing there. It's kind of anti-Semitic, but that's exactly what the whole Iran deal is about. It's Israel and Israel's influence over the U.S. And I'm sure that plays into the warhawk neocons wanting to attack Iran. A lot of them are like Mike Pompeo here. They're fucking Christians that they feel like giving Israel power makes Jeebus come back. I know the difference, son, but you saying shekels? That's an anti-Semitic trope. I am anti-Zionist. I am as hardcore against Israel as they come. I'm against apartheid states. I am for the rights of the Palestinian people. Speaking of Christian dumbfucks, Pat Robertson. You forgot about the Iran deal. Holy shit. So much shit has happened. Do you want me to really blow your mind? I do this to people every now and again. The impeachment was in January. That was earlier this year that we had the impeachment hearings. We almost went to war with Iran like the 3rd day of January. We started off the year. I'm not even going to get into that. So here's Pat Robertson. Let's see what Pat Robertson has to say.
In the name of Jesus, I bind the spirit of delusion that's come across our land. We will not surrender our nation. We will not give up this great country. And Satan, you cannot have it in the name of Jesus. And I began to pray, and I believe God has heard. And I'm asking everybody in this audience to pray. It isn't over yet. And I think, again, he wants to turn this nation over to socialism. And Bernie Sanders and AOC and those people are...
I wonder about that, Jam. Now, I brought up the thing last night. Like, I am all for us pulling troops out of Afghanistan, Iraq. We shouldn't have been there to begin with. But I'm wondering exactly who is wanting Trump to pull troops out of Iraq and Afghanistan, and for what reason. Because I know Trump isn't doing it because he cares about the soldiers. I know Trump isn't doing it because he has principles or any shit like that, because he has no principles. So I really wonder, is it Saudi Arabia? Is it Russia? Maybe Turkey. He's got a cozy relationship to Erdogan.
Bernie Sanders and AOC and those people are pure socialists, and they want to take over control of everything. They want to run all the business. They want to run all the industry. They want to redo.
At least he kind of got the definition of socialism right.
All the energy we've got. They want to take away your cars. They want to stop people flying airplanes. I mean, it is crazy what they have. We cannot allow that. So let's pray. And what am I hearing? I still think Trump's going to ultimately win.
I don't even know how this dude is still alive. Isn't he like 100 years old? Now, he said, we're not going to hand the country over to Satan. But I have a woman here. She absolutely thinks that we have already handed the country over to the devil. This is A woman from Baltimore who is a survivor of the coronavirus, describing her experience.
Ever wanted. Sharon Jones is at the Lord Baltimore recovering from coronavirus.
I was feeling weak.
Yes, I did. You can see that video on my channel. Please subscribe to the YouTube.
October. Since she suffers from COPD, her doctor told her to get a COVID test. It came back positive.
My son was with me and he had COVID and the flu.
Her symptoms got much worse.
All I know is 2 days later I wasn't breathing and I ended up at St. Agnes Hospital.
She says her oxygen levels were extremely low. She got care from medical staff, including infectious disease doctors who put her on experimental drugs, plasma, and steroids.
People need to know how well that they are taking care of these COVID patients.
I like you, Jam. You know what you're talking about.
Her breathing was improving and the hospital needed the bed. At the Baltimore Convention Center, she continued to get round-the-clock care.
And it's like a makeshift hospital. It's just like a hospital. I got excellent, excellent, excellent care there.
She describes medical staff at the convention center as nice, caring, nurturing, and exhausted.
I never heard any complaints. They just kept moving. They always came in with a smile.
I mean, why wouldn't the Trump administration give an organized pedophile ring money?
They were very,
kind of their thing.
Very good. They need to be commended.
While recuperating at this hotel,
I'm walking with a cane because of COVID. My hips and my legs feel like mush.
she gives this reprimand to people who aren't taking this recent spike in coronavirus cases seriously.
I need for people to put their mask on, and I need people to put their shields on, because this is not good. This is not good at all. If you don't want to protect yourself, protect somebody else.
Now, Mrs. Jones may be allowed to go home in a couple of days. She will.
So she says COVID is the devil, and we're just letting the devil run wild in the United States. Now, I saw a chart on Twitter that said this was Canadian Thanksgiving right here, October 13th, or October 12th, sometime around there. And this is what happened after Canadian Thanksgiving. Now, I didn't show that yesterday because I wanted to verify it. That was actually just one province. This is all of Canada. So here we are. Canadian Thanksgiving would have been right around here in this area. Boom, shoot straight up. Thanksgiving for us is next week. And our charts already look like that. And you've got people all over right-wing media talking about how the libs hate Thanksgiving. The libs don't want you to be around your family. So, states without mask mandates saw a big increase of COVID cases in October. These are charts you can check out on Vox. This was the chart that this is in Kansas. Counties with a mask mandate flatten the curve. That's what we were talking about back in the spring. They absolutely did shoot up after Halloween. Imagine what it's going to be like. And everything lags behind, too. We're not going to know the cases from Thanksgiving until the middle of December. We're not going to see the deaths from Thanksgiving until around Christmas time. And I guarantee you it's still going to be the same thing on right-wing media come Christmas time. Oh, the left hates Christmas. They don't want you to be with your family. It's like we played the guy last night. It's like, it may be your last Thanksgiving with your grandma. Go see her. Actually, I had a really funny post on Parler last night. Let me see if I can find it real fast. I've been doing a lot of trolling, so. I'm finding people that upvoted it because it's hilarious that they upvoted my comment. because I was making fun of it. Yes. So I was responding to Chad Prather, who's ready for a big Thanksgiving feast with tons of family and friends. We may even use the same fork to eat with. My response was, do it! Do it! I hope you all do! Invite all your family and friends. Hashtag Darwin Award. And right-wingers are so fucking stupid, they upvoted it. I didn't even get a single downvote on that. That's great. I told him to give me a call if he wanted to argue. Of course I'm on Parler. I'm on Rumble. Motherfucking right-wingers can't run away from me. You get no safe space. There be no shelter here, bitches. I'm on Parler because Facebook is really, really mean to me. I've been in Facebook jail for the past 2 months. When I post something on Facebook, and any of my friends can tell you, you don't see my posts. I look at the analytics, 2 or 3 people see my posts because the algorithms work against me. The algorithms on Parler don't work against me. So when I go and make my post, and I've been kind of mean about it. I've been doing my videos and posting it as if I was a right-winger. Holy. Violent leftist sucker punches Trump supporters during the weekend MAGA rally. I got 644 views on that video. Now, if you watch that video, I'm making fun of him, and boy, do I root on the person that sucker punches that guy. If you haven't seen the video, the dude is like pushing people around, yelling in their faces, and he like a guy tries to confront him, and then other people get in between them. Dude starts to walk away. Somebody comes up and just whacks right from behind in the side of the face, knocks him to the ground. Chuds. Is it pure chuds? I think there is a good percentage of people like me. Yeah, I'd get like 21 on Facebook. That's exactly right. So I think on Parler there is a good amount of people like myself. I know producer Dave is over there. He's echoed me a few times. I greatly appreciate that. And I've gotten several people that have followed me just seeing me make fun of right-wingers. So 2/3 of Parler is chuds. Possibly. But then again, I don't know if the people that follow me actually know that I was making fun of them. Because, you know, as I always say, right-wingers are morons. Now, yesterday on the Senate floor, Sherrod Brown from Ohio,
with Facebook shops connect.
Ohio.
I'd start by asking the presiding officer to please wear a mask as he speaks, and people below him are, I can't tell you what to do, but I know that the behavior...
I don't wear a mask when I'm speaking, like most senators.
Well, most senators...
So
Now, what he's talking about is there are low-level staffers below him on the dais. This motherfucker is just speaking, spraying shit all over the place. So yeah, he absolutely should wear a mask in the chamber.
But I don't need your instruction from...
I know you don't need my instruction, but I...
And this is the same day that we found out that the oldest senator, Chuck Grassley, is positive for COVID. Dan Sullivan from Alaska. Hey, Sullivan, the oldest congressman, the congressman from Alaska, is also positive for COVID. How do you not care about your fellow humans, your fellow Republicans even?
There clearly isn't much...
He's a chud.
...body in public health. We have a president who hasn't shown up at the coronavirus task force meeting in months. We have a majority leader that calls us back here to vote on an unqualified nominee. and at the same time to vote for judge after judge after judge, exposing all the people who can't say anything. I understand the people in front of you and the presiding officer, and expose all the staff here, and the majority leader just doesn't seem to care. You don't have to play along with the tweets and the chaos. He threatened the Republican governor of Ohio today, for instance, because the governor of Ohio, I think he said the term vice president or term president-elect.
I didn't even know he threatened the governor of Ohio.
You don't have to play along with the tweets and the chaos and the crazy anymore. We need to move on. We need to actually...
That's why, where are their balls? Why are they still playing along with this? I like the way Sherrod Brown put that.
Deliver for the people who voted for us and put their faith in us. The last thing we should be doing is granting Trump one last wish, one more opportunity to salt the earth on his way out.
Now, we had talked about him selling off the wildlife refuge in Alaska. And as I was watching the Majority Report, Sam Cedar brought up a very good point that there aren't really going to be oil companies that are going to want to bid on the wildlife refuge because it's going to be so expensive to drill there. So basically what Trump is doing is auctioning off lands for people to buy so that they can sell them back to the federal government once the Biden administration comes in. It's all a grift. I'm not a fan of Bill Maher, man. I really started to... I used to be I fucking modeled my career after Bill Maher. I really, when he wrote the $1 million check to Obama, that really rubbed me the wrong way. Obama didn't need that $1 million check. Down ballot races needed that $1 million. The Democratic infrastructure needed that $1 million. But I'm sure Bill Maher felt good about himself when he wrote that check. And then when Trump came to office, because I still watched Bill Maher up until maybe last year, 2 years ago, because even though I had started really despising Maher during the Obama administration, I still watched the show because it was still some of the best political discourse you can get on TV. But man, just hearing him say, whiny little bitch, every fucking week, it just got under my skin. And then he was always so nice to Bernie, and then when Bernie actually had a chance to do something, Maher turned on him. It was the weirdest fucking thing, because it's about class. Bill Maher is just another fucking oligarch that doesn't want real change. John Oliver is so much better. I wish John Oliver had a panel show like Bill Maher. Ted Cruz responded to Sherrod Brown, calling him a complete ass. He wears a mask to speak when nobody is remotely near him, as an ostentatious sign of fake virtue. Dan Sullivan was over 50 feet away. Last I checked, 50 feet is more than 6 feet. No, Sherrod Brown actually cares about other fucking people and was worried about the staffers on the dais under Sullivan. But hey, I'm reminded of what Al Franken had to say about Ted Cruz. Nobody in the Senate likes Ted Cruz. Not even his colleagues likes Ted Cruz. I do too. As I said, I modeled my career after Bill Maher. I was watching Bill Maher back in the politically incorrect days on ABC. Now, while Ted Cruz is chiding people, Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas, keep that in mind, bitching about people wearing masks on the Senate floor after one of his colleagues, several of his colleagues have tested positive. Grassley, the oldest member of the Senate, tested positive. Ted Cruz is bitching about masks. Meanwhile, in Texas, this is what's going on. This is the line to receive food. This is for a food bank. Ted Cruz isn't on the Senate floor bitching about a stimulus. Ted Cruz isn't on the Senate floor advocating for these people to help them. Remember, this is in Texas. These are the people he represents. I don't know how many years I've been told that socialism leads to breadlines. Here we are, the great capitalism. There's your fucking breadlines. Toilet paper shortages, all the shit that we were told would happen under socialism. It's happening before our very eyes under capitalism. And for the love of God, I've had to side with Joe Biden all this year. Joe Biden, who I cannot stand. Joe Biden, who has been my political enemy for years, who is a warmonger. I've had to take his side, and now the Republicans are so fucking bad, I'm having to take the side of JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon.
I asked, we had Masa-san join us yesterday, and he said that he is critically worried not just about the health crisis unto itself, but he's worried about a financial crisis.
I'm not as worried about a financial crisis. You know, I think the Fed stepped in and did a lot of things to avert the worst parts of that, et cetera. But again, I agree with Masa. I'm not worried. I'm just saying, focus on the job at hand. We've got to get the vaccine out. We've got to right now. We got to get people safer. And you're seeing a skyrocketing of COVID just about every.
We saw the graph earlier.
So we got to get through this. So I think it's a mistake to take our eye off that ball, and we need some of that fiscal stimulus just to bring it through. And the other thing, can I just mention?
Because this was one of the things that I've wondered. As I said, the oligarchs run this country. The politicians are bought and paid for by people like Jamie Dimon. I can't imagine why American business isn't pushing Mitch McConnell to pass a stimulus before Christmas. Because as I pointed out last night, a lot of the economic activity here in America happens during the Christmas season. Retailers depend on it to make their goals. So I've actually been dumbfounded by the fact that people like Jamie Dimon aren't pushing for a stimulus to get money in people's hands so that people will buy things and keep the economy going. Because surely this guy knows without a stimulus, we are heading for a hell of a financial cliff. We're already there. Evictions are skyrocketing.
About the fiscal stimulus, I know now we have this big debate. Is it 2.2 trillion, 1.5 trillion? You got to be kidding me. I mean, just split the baby and move on. I mean, this is childish behavior on the part of our politicians. We need to help the citizens of America, and and let's just get through it. And it reminds me going.
Never in my life have I said the words, I agree with Jamie Dimon. Never. Not once. Never would have imagined I said those words, but I just did.
Back when President Obama was trying to get basically effectively Simpson balls done, and the Republicans and Democrats got bogged down in that $800 billion. I would have walked in that last room of negotiation. If I had to give it all up on either side, it would have been great for the country. They should have focused on what's great for the country, not who won the last little part of the negotiation.
So, not that we need to play
Childish behavior from our senators, like Ted Cruz. Calling someone an ass for wearing a mask and wanting to protect the low-level staffers while people are in breadlines in his fucking state. How disgusting. I can't believe that man won re-election in 2018. More than 900 Mayo Clinic staffers have contracted COVID-19 over the past 2 weeks. That is alarming. I keep seeing stories about doctors who are quitting. Nursing shortages. Once again, it is a failure of leadership in our federal government not to provide what hospitals need. Not to provide the money to keep the staff in place. They should all get hazard pay. All the frontline workers should be getting hazard pay. It's not just a failure, Breed Creed. They are derelict in their fucking duty. I said duty. Meanwhile, you've got assholes talking about how Steven Crowder posted it earlier. Oh, we're overestimating numbers. No. The U.S. pandemic death rate might be 50% more than what is being reported. I mean, yeah, Trump is a loser, but we've all known that for years. And that's the thing. I had a caller the other night. And she was a baby boomer. And she pointed out the thing that I keep pointing out. Donald Trump has been portrayed in our media as a fucking con man and a loser for decades. I don't understand how people came to vote for him. Well, this has got the CDC found that nearly 300,000 more people in the United States died from late January to early October this year compared to the average number of people. But only 2/3 of those deaths were counted as COVID-19 fatalities. But yet we're up 300,000 more people than the average died between January and October. So what that tells us is that COVID deaths are being undercounted. Despite what right-wing media may tell you, COVID deaths are being undercounted. All right, I think I'm off the soapbox about COVID. Apparently there was a study that came out that said people have fatigue about COVID and their interest in stories about COVID. And I completely understand that, but like now is not the time to have fatigue. And I listened to a epidemiologist talk about how, there's always these second waves, and that he thought it was because of the cold weather, and that now that he's lived through it, he's thinking, oh, it's fatigue, it's epidemic fatigue. People get so far into it, especially with our modern medicine, we've been able to curb the death rate. We know how to deal with it better, and that's why the death rate has gone down. But people just stop taking it seriously. I see it all around me, that's for sure. Guys, do stick with me here. We're going to make fun of Sarah Palin in a little bit. Also, Ben Shapiro. And the Pope is horny. You're going to want to stick around for that. But I saw this video earlier. I haven't watched the video yet, so we're going to watch it together. This happened in California.
Trying to...
Apparently this dude's dog had gotten out, which is a completely normal thing to happen.
If you want to do anything to me again, I'll call the police. Call the police. Everything's on camera. I'll be happy to show them.
I'll be happy to show him. I don't
want to see that dog outside.
Well, he's going to be outside because I have a right to have him just like every other person in here.
Well,
He
yeah.
ain't done nothing to you. He ain't done nothing to your dog.
Why are you so nasty?
I'm nasty by explaining to you.
You're on his property, bitching about his dog. And she got her little puppy. Well, I don't understand. You're upset about somebody else's dog? I see other people's dog and I'm like, hey, come play with me, puppy, hey. And you seem to be a dog person, so what the fuck is your deal?
I haven't done anything wrong. You came over here to my house on my property.
But the dog came to my property.
Look, I've been nice to you. I've helped you and your family. I've always talked to you.
You've never helped me in my family. You've never done a goddamn thing.
You coming over here?
All you've done is been negative.
No, I haven't. I'm gonna ask you to please leave my property. I don't know if you're just having a bad day or whatever, but today ain't.
I'm not having a bad day, but you know what? You're a black person in a white neighborhood, and you're acting like one. Why don't you act like a white person in a white neighborhood?
Keep it up. It's all on camera.
I don't give a...
Right? We're acting like black people, and that's not normal.
Most people don't act like you do.
How are we acting? How are we acting? You came over here with a taser.
I came over here because you're...
Ma'am, you're the one that has the attitude problem. I hate to inform you. He seems calm, cool, and collected.
Pit bull attacked my little dog.
He didn't attack your dog. Not at all.
Your son was out here with it.
And he didn't attack the dog. The dog, I saw the dog. I saw you pet the dog. You
I
pet the
didn't pet
dog.
the dog. I just pet the dog because I wanted to see if he was okay.
Whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't pet the dog. I just petted the dog to see if she was okay. What? Listen here, Karen.
Attack your dog. Not at all.
Your son was out here with it.
And he didn't attack the dog. The dog.
And she brought a taser with her.
You
I
pet the
didn't pet
dog.
the dog. I just pet the dog because I wanted to see if he was okay.
You didn't pet the dog, but you pet the dog because you wanted to see if he was okay.
Why don't you record all this? and put it on?
I am recording it.
He did.
You're about to be famous.
You know what? You're gonna go.
You're about to be famous. Where am I gonna go? Where am I gonna go?
You're gonna go to hell.
What's he gonna go to hell for? And ma'am, all dogs go to heaven, so. From one stupid white lady to another. Sarah Palin has decided to grace us with her presence again. Obama released a memoir and apparently took some shots at
softball interviews to promote a
Sarah Palin.
768-page book. And
listen to Sean Hannity introduce this while I go and get some more
on 60
beverage.
Minutes, and Barack compared the president to a dictator while lamenting the lack of, quote, institutional norms. All right, Barack, time for a quick Hannity history lesson. In fact, it was you who targeted journalists. That's right, because remember 2013 revealed your administration secretly spied on journalists, including then Fox News reporter colleague James Rosen. You want to talk about institutional norms, Barack? Because how about spying on an incoming administration?
That never happened.
Michael Flynn using a
There's some validity
Clinton bought and paid for Russian disinformation dossier to spy
to the argument about
President-elect
Obama
and then President
being hostile to the press.
to fuel a Russia hoax. Because Barack, I don't remember you or frankly any Democrat speaking out about that. Save us the lectures, Barack. And
well, it wasn't a hoax. We've looked at the Mueller report here numerous times.
Your party never accepted election results. 4 years, never-ending harassment, unprecedented, and
I don't ever remember Democrats acting the way that Trump is acting. Ever. And this guy has the nerve to call Obama a hypocrite?
your party and your silence was deafening. So your feigned outrage today, pretty meaningless to everyone except maybe for the sycophants that actually may buy that 768-page bore. And by the way, did you hear one question from Scott Pelley?
Now, I read, what was it, Dreams of My Father? No, it was Audacity of Hope. Dreams of My Father might have been his first one. I read Audacity of Hope during 2008. I'm sure the book isn't a bore. Obama is quite eloquent. And Audacity of Hope was really good. So, sorry, Hannity. Now, I'm no Obama fan either. But I will tell you that that book was very well written. I'm sure better than any trite that fucking Sean Hannity could shit out.
About any of that? No. Crickets. Any questions about Russia? No. Ukraine? No. Quid pro quo, Joe? No. Zero experience, Hunter? No. Lawless acts, violence against police, defunding the police, abuse of power, corruption, the biggest one in the history of the country? Not a word. The mob, the media, the Democrats, they're all united.
Oh, I'm sorry that Obama didn't address your fantasy world and your fucking conspiracy theories.
Interested in getting to the truth, facts, or any serious investigation, and they take on the broadest hypocrisy and double standards. All right, joining us now, former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin. You know, Governor, I'm looking at what... Man, you're living in Barack's head. I thought for a while I lived in Barack's head because he kept mentioning me for a while during, his run for office. And through Palin, it seemed...
You are correct. It's pure cringe and conspiracies, but I watch it a lot, to be honest with you, because I watch clips like this. I watch a lot of media of left-wing people watching clips of Fox and making fun of them. And probably... that's going to be most of Fox's viewership going forward, is left-wingers making fun of them.
As if the dark spirits that had long been lurking on the edges of the modern Republican Party, xenophobia, anti-intellectualism, paranoid conspiracy.
And here's the thing. Do not get it twisted. Sarah Palin is ecstatic that Barack Obama mentioned her in his book. Because now she gets to do Fox News hits again. She was irrelevant.
It's a rich statement. Antipathy toward black and brown folks was finding their way to center stage, and she had no idea what the hell she was talking about. All right.
She didn't.
And I'm like, didn't they peddle the conspiracy theory on Russia for nearly 4 years?
Yeah, that's true. Barack Obama with his 700-some page Promised Land book. I guess evidently he thinks that he is one to lead us to the Promised Land. So let's refer to him as Moses. Moses is the master of the politics of personal destruction, which people were so fed up with that a movement began, and they elected someone to hopefully get us on a path to get rid of that politics of personal destruction. But Barack Obama, he just doesn't get
the Moses analogy there. Am I missing something? I thought Moses led the people out of Egypt. All right, what is she talking about? I don't even get the Moses analogy. But she didn't complete the analogy for me to be able to even understand what she was talking about.
Get it. First of all, personally, Sean, in order to let a man's opinion hurt, well, you have to give a little bit of value to that man's opinion. So I'm good there because he does not represent truth.
But there are 72 million people. This is a record for any Republican to ever get in an election. All right, razor-thin margins. And he was elected twice. And when you hear smelly Walmart Trump supporters and irredeemable deplorables, or back when you were running bitter Americans that cling to God, guns, Second Amendment, Bible, religion, I think it's revealing, because what is he saying?
Boy, was that ever true.
That it seems like it's against any American that doesn't support him.
There's a cross behind her. I'm surprised there's not a couple of guns behind her.
Or his views, which are radical.
Right, and I think that the media, the lamestream...
Boy, howdy, if he thinks Barack Obama is a radical, shit.
This whole issue, an issue of attacks on Donald Trump and his personality or his tone or his mannerisms, whatever. But really, America has to remember that the left, led by Barack Obama and still Hillary Clinton. And
any day I get to make fun of Sarah Palin is a great fucking day.
Yes, they call us deplorables and chumps.
Thanks for asking. How was your day?
And all that. They're after what it is that we represent. What I hope it is that we represent, because I want to represent it, is truth. And that is what Barack Obama is so absent from embracing because of his false accusations and his unfounded criticisms. There's proof after proof.
I didn't even know the name of the book. And that's another thing. Right-wingers do such a great job of making me, like, I wouldn't know who the fuck AOC was when I did if they hadn't have just went hard on her, and then I realized, oh shit, she's awesome. Same thing with Ilhan Omar. So thank you, right-wingers. I had no clue what the name of Barack Obama's book was until we watched this.
Untruths. Our country has to love truth. We have to be seekers of truth. We have to be willing to follow truth. And there are so many untruths that Barack Obama is leading people towards still.
Give us an example.
A truth is that only law and order will usher in peace and prosperity. The sanctity of life, that is a truth, is that we...
Law and order is a fucking dog whistle for militarization of the police.
We should protect life. The Democrats' platform is the antithesis of that, the provision.
She says, as Republicans have gotten 250,000 people killed. They bitched nonstop about 4 people in Benghazi for months, years. 250K dead. And they're still arguing about masks on the Senate floor while their fucking constituents are in bread lines. Sanctity of life, my ass.
It's okay to kill a baby in the womb. There are so many things that Barack Obama stands for still.
And I've got a post. I can't remember what it's a pastor that posted it. I've got it saved on my Facebook anytime anybody brings up abortion. Because it nails it perfectly. When you mention the unborn, or when you mention abortion, it's just performative bullshit where you can act pious without actually having to do anything. And he lays it out like, you know, all the people that Jesus actually speaks about, the poor, the downtrodden, blah, 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 blah. You can brush them aside and still act pious because you can do this performative nonsense for the unborn. So I'm just tired. You are not coming to the argument in good faith if you're talking about the unborn or fetuses.
Doesn't get it, that the solution to our problems in this country, it all comes down to simply loving truth. He does not represent nor love truth.
There was a study a few years ago that came out. People that watch Fox News are less informed than people who don't watch any news at all. I want to say this is probably like 10 years ago. It was around maybe 2011, 2012. Because the Daily Show was still, Jon Stewart was still on the Daily Show. Because like viewers of the Daily Show were way more informed than people that watch Fox News. You're excited. I had the Mueller report highlighted, all the shit in it. Russia hoax my ass. Don't think I don't pull this out. Violated U.S. criminal law. Numerous links between individuals with ties to the Russian government. The investigation established that several individuals affiliated with the Trump campaign lied to the office of the special counsel. But they love truth. Truth is just a buzzword to them. Now, we've been on the right-wingers pretty hardcore tonight. So let me dish out something to the left. Earlier today,
I'm very honored.
Nancy Pelosi
kind of emotional.
Re-elected as the Speaker of the House. Something that I was hoping wouldn't happen, but I mean, I don't know who would be better as a Speaker. I can't tell you who I would think would make a better Speaker at this moment. But God, I was hoping it wouldn't be Pelosi. One, because Republicans have done such a good job of weaponizing her name. Get her out of a leadership position to look forward to the 2022 midterm. Take that bullet out of the chamber for Republicans. So they can't be like Crazy Nancy and tie the congressional races, the Democratic candidates in congressional races, to Nancy Pelosi. Because Lord knows all she's done is rubber stamp Trump's bullshit. Eat fancy ice cream on TV when she should be fucking fighting for something. But she's a rich person. It's all class.
Very honored. I was kind of emotional earlier because of some of the things that...
1 in 28 in court now, eh? I said it was 1 in 25 at the start of the show.
Nominations as well, as to not only the vision, but the depth of commitment, the values of our caucus. So I'm thrilled, I'm excited, and I can't wait to be elected, working with a new president.
I bet that mask is some kind of fucking fabric that costs more than everything I'm wearing right now. I would not doubt it at all. This fucking bat is so out of touch. She is indicative of everything that is wrong with the Democratic Party.
Of the United States, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. But having the majority, having the holding the House. And
the slim majority. It's your fault.
It is opportunity for us to work together with the president, and having a president is a unifying, has an unifying impact as well, especially when he's a unifier like Joe Biden.
By unify, she means capitulate to Republicans. Do the bidding of the oligarchs. Same old, same old. Now, I'm not saying that a little bit of the same old isn't going to be refreshing after 4 years of just Trump being insane. So Democrats vent to Schumer over Senate majority failures. I'm pretty sure that they're all going to... We were hurt by defund the police. We were hurt by the Green New Deal. We were hurt by the radical blah, 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 blah. I'm almost positive that's what we're going to see in this story. Schumer has presided over 2 conference calls in which his fellow Democratic senators analyzed the disappointing results of the races in Iowa, Maine, Montana, and North Carolina. I've said it over and over and over again. If you're just running as Republican light, people are going to pick the Republican. You have to actually separate yourself and provide a policy that you stand behind. John Tester says we just need to do a better job of reaching out. We're just not doing an adequate job. What are you going to reach out about? You got no message. And you had it put forward to you on a silver platter. Medicare for all, Green New Deal. Policies that are overwhelmingly popular with the American people. The messaging was there, prepackaged. I said in 2012, if Democrats were smart, they're not. They should have been running on the legalization of marijuana in 2012, in that midterm race. I screamed at the top of my lungs. You're going to get clobbered because you're not running on anything. You don't stand for anything. But hey, that's the way their big dollar donors like it. They don't want them to actually deliver policy that would help people like me and you. But you know, I'm not going to be able to pull out a statistic like 99% of the Green New Deal co-sponsors won their races this cycle. Fucking Rudy, man.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Yes. Yes, we do, Rudy. And you're a grifter. Now, for me to be, I realized it the other day, for me to be as big of a Bernie Sanders supporter as I am, I've never played a video of him on my show that I can remember. This is actually the first one. So here is Bernie over the weekend.
Though, and I wonder if, I mean, the way you phrased it is one thing, but another way to phrase it might be even Medicare for all. A lot of people who voted for Joe Biden might not want Medicare for all. He didn't run with Medicare for all. I'm wondering if you think there is.
I would assume Rudy is still going to lose his license. I believe the Southern District of New York has an open investigation into him, as well they should. I can't believe he hasn't been disbarred yet.
Some sort of calibration that might be necessary in order for Democrats to win those Senate seats.
Well, for a start, I haven't exhaustively studied all of the exit polls. One of the things that we do know is that youth turnout was very, very high across the country, and especially high in states like Georgia, off the charts, in fact. And young people voted overwhelmingly for Biden, and young people, by and large, are the most progressive generation facing this country. Also, what we looked at and saw.
And holy shit, if you think I'm to the left, those Gen Zers are way further left than I am. But I mean, my leftism has been a direct result of living through the Bush administration, the Obama administration, being an adult, working during those two administrations. They pushed me to the left.
Is that working people making less than $50,000, making less than $99,000, also voted for Biden. Mm-hmm. And I think if you ask those people, should...
Now, Jam, I asked the question the other night. What are you putting the odds at that Melania leaves Trump just as soon as they're out of the White House? What do you think?
Should we create the jobs that we need? Should we raise the minimum wage?
Yes.
Should we expand health care to cover all people in this country? I think you will find that the answer is yes. You know, Jake, all of my life, political life, no matter what you do, we will be attacked by the establishment, by big money interest. And yet today, we are living in a nation with massive income and wealth inequality. People on top are doing phenomenally well, while working class people today are suffering at a level we have not seen since the Great Depression.
Yeah.
What Congress has got to do immediately with a COVID-19 package is start protecting the working families of this country.
So,
damn right. And even Jamie Dimon agrees with Bernie Sanders. Shit. I never would have thought that happened. But luckily for us, now I was talking to a right-wing friend the other day, and I named off the politicians I support: Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ariana Presley, AOC, Katie Porter, Bernie Sanders. And he's like, wow, like all those people are horrible. I'm like, no, all those people don't take corporate PAC money. All those people aren't bought and paid for by corporations. So the corporate-run media that you consume has fucking propagandized you to hate all those people. But there's a reason why Bernie Sanders can get on TV and talk about policies that actually affect the working class, because he's not getting his money from special interests. And we need more of that. That is why I've decided that I'm solid Democrat for the rest of my life. That's why I am encouraging my friends to run. That's why I tell all my friends, you run for office, I'll do media for you. Because we need to take over this goddamn party. I've got friends, and I want to bring a friend on here shortly. She is very against the Democratic Party and believes that we need to leave and form our own party. And I've come to the opposite conclusion, that the only way that we can... Believe me, I'm against the two-party system. But the only way that we can put the things in place, like runoff voting, No, not runoff. What am I thinking about? The name of it. When you vote for a third party, if the person doesn't get 50% of the vote, you ranked choice voting. Thank goddamn. That's why I'm for ranked choice voting. But there's no way that you're going to be able to get that breaks the two-party hold without us taking over the Democratic Party and instituting those from inside. Because I don't see any other way that a third party is going to be able to compete because of the two-party system. And after seeing the last two elections where the progressives came this close to winning both times, they had to pull out every trick in the book to stop the progressives from winning. It's within our grasp. We can take over the party, especially in 2 years, in 4 years, when more of these baby boomers die off. And we're in the middle of a mass die-off right now with the pandemic. By that time, there's going to be way more Gen Z voters. And there's going to be way more people like me in positions of power. Rashida Tlaib, Penn's op-ed says she will not be silent as people's rights are being trampled on. I'm sure this is in response to the Abigail Spanberger. We showed her comments 2 weeks ago. Defund the police. Hurt her, she said. The people are in the streets demanding it. What hurts you is not embracing popular movements. I will never understand it. Just like how I will never understand how anyone could look at Ben Shapiro and decide that they were going to listen to him about masculinity.
So a couple of obvious stipulations up front. Men have always done cross-dressing. There have always been some segment of men who cross-dress. Very often it was played for comedy. And the entire premise of Some Like It Hot is that it is funny when men cross-dress. That is not what the Harry Styles photo shoot is about.
Throughout history, gender has not been binary. Natives here in America made trans people chiefs. In India, trans people would be gurus because they had both souls. He is discussing a very Western idea of masculinity.
Right? There have been pop stars who've done this before. David Bowie wearing a dress. They always look like idiots, by the way. They always look ridiculous. But the whole point is to be transgressive. Right? But what we are seeing with the Vogue article is not just an attempt to be transgressive, obviously. It's an attempt to redefine masculinity itself.
Also, I didn't show it last night on the show. I'm not even really sure who Harry Styles is. I think he's from One Direction, if I'm not mistaken. This was his Vogue cover. It's like he's got pants on under the dress. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Here's another shot. And that's not even a dress, that's a kilt. And I know some Scottish people that would punch Ben Shapiro in the face for calling it a dress. But, like, I don't know about you guys, but I think Harry Styles looks a lot more manly than Ben Shapiro, even in a dress. But don't get it wrong. Ben Shapiro loves stories like this. Ben Shapiro gets a lot of play. I am thoroughly convinced that he does shit like read the lyrics to WAP or talk about Harry Styles in a dress. Because one, it's good red meat for his base. Be transphobic, homophobic, against the gender non-binary folk out there. But two, it gets people like me, it gets the Majority Report, it gets the leftist media making fun of him, and in turn helps boost his numbers. My opinion on the claims that there is voter fraud. Well, those claims are bullshit, and Trump's own lawyers have stated that in court, so...
I mean, this is overt in the article. I'm not making it up. I already read you the segments from the Vogue magazine article. Okay, so my friend Candace Owens tweets out, quote, "There is no society that can survive without strong men. The East knows this. In the West, the steady feminization of our men, at the same time that Marxism is being taught to our children, is not a coincidence. It is an outright attack. Bring back manly men."
I want one of these dumb fucks to tell me what Marxism means. I don't think a one of them can define it. The steady feminization. How does Marx's critique of capitalism have anything to do with steady feminization? And what's wrong with feminization to begin with? I don't understand. And bring back manly men. Harry Styles is way more manly than Ben fucking Shapiro.
Okay.
Maybe not Candace Owens, though.
What exactly is controversial about this? That masculinity is a good and important thing when channeled properly. It requires men to defend family. It requires men to provide. It requires men to channel their aggressive instincts towards defense of values and civilization. It requires assertiveness. Aristotle talks about masculinity in exactly these sorts of terms. Harvey Mansfield has an excellent book called Manliness, all about masculinity and what distinguishes it from femininity. Now, it's not that the left doesn't acknowledge these are qualities. The left fully acknowledges the qualities of masculinity and femininity, right? Which is why they suggest that there are a wide variety of genders, because they
I constantly tell people, keep talking, you'll get your fucking face punched by a guy wearing sparkly fingernail polish.
Just that a man can be very feminine, and this actually makes him a woman, right? So they agree that this means that there is such a thing as masculinity and femininity. They then just suggest that men should act like women, right? That masculinity should be made more feminine.
What does it mean to act like women? These are gender normative roles that we have invented. What does it mean to act like women? I don't understand, especially in a guy. And a guy that's talking in this kind of voice is telling us all about masculinity. Hold on. Hassan Piker had a great fucking tweet. Ben, you're 5'3", can't grow facial hair, and weigh 100 pounds soaking wet. If we can both be considered men, you should probably be a bit more open-minded about gender expressions. It's clearly not as rich in a binary as you try to imply it is. Hassan's awesome.
Men more feminine when you suggest that men need to be like women. They need to wear dresses, right? That this undermines some fundamentally
No. Nobody is saying you need to wear a dress. I think what people on the left, the open-minded free thinkers of us, say, who gives a shit if you wear a dress? Wear a dress if it makes you feel good. Do it. Who cares?
Men. In the same way that if you said that women ought to act like men, it's funny. If you say that women ought to act more like men, this is considered sexist because it actually is sexist. But if you say that men ought to act more like women, this is considered progressive and forward thinking.
Who says that?
Feminized men is ongoing on the left. Okay, so this prompted me to defend Candace's comments. And I said, this is perfectly obvious. Anyone who pretends it is not a referendum on masculinity for men to don floofy dresses and then be celebrated by magazines like Vogue is gaslighting you. Masculinity and femininity are categories. They exist. Right? Some behavior is more masculine, like punching people in the face. Some behavior is more feminine, like wearing floofy dresses.
I know plenty of women that would punch him in the fucking face. What is he talking about, this referendum? This guy is acting like there's going to be some fucking army that's going to march into his studio and make him wear a dress. By the way, his wife is a doctor, in case you didn't know.
right? There are many different forms of masculinity and femininity. The most important form of femininity is bearing and rearing children. Okay, that is something that is endemic biologically to female mammals of all species, is bearing and rearing their young, right? And it is endemic for men and males of all mammalian species to be more aggressive, right? These are just biological realities. To pretend that they are social constructs entirely is completely idiotic and anti-scientific and anti-evidentiary. Masculinity and femininity do exist. And not only that, how does this tie into the whole dress conversation? Outward indicators of masculinity and femininity exist in nearly every human culture, right? We train little boys to be masculine and we train little girls to be more feminine. We try to...
Thank you. Train. You hit the nail on the head. This is not a natural concept. It doesn't occur in nature, Ben. It is a human construct, you dumb fuck.
Breed out of them the toxicity of masculinity or the toxicity of femininity. We try to use civilization to civilize children. But boys are boys and girls are girls, right? And these are important things. Boys ought to be allowed to act like boys. Girls ought to be allowed to act like girls.
You like, it's not a binary thing, motherfucker. By you saying boys and boys and girls, you are eliminating a whole... It's quite a few people. There's a whole group of people that don't fit into those categories. Whether they be born with no sex organ, born with both sex organs, born with penises that are so small, doctors think they're clits. Born with clits so big that doctors think they're penises. Just because the vast majority of people fall within 2 standard deviations of the mean in the normal curve doesn't mean that that's the default. Ben, that's some statistical analysis for you. Where's your fucking science that you claim to have?
Boys are taught to be more masculine in virtually every human culture. This is not a Western-centered thing. Boys are taught to be more masculine in virtually every human culture because the role of men is not, in fact, always the same as the role of women. There can be crossover. Men and women can do very many of the same jobs. But to suggest that men and women are identical and they are widgets created by social conditioning is just bullcrap.
Nobody suggested that.
It's scientifically true. It is a violation of actual scientific biology. There are differences between men and women.
Whoa, what? Mario Lopez is getting fired because he was being interviewed and the topic of young kids getting gender changes? He rightly said parents are crazy. I don't know. Well, first of all, I don't think kids are getting gender changes. That's not true. Some children get puberty blockers so that they can make that decision when they get older. That's perfectly fine. I did not know about the Mario Lopez thing though. Let's Google it. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's Bing it. When did this happen? I'm not seeing anything about it. But what if that's what Mario Lopez said, that is transphobic. And it's misinformed. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And we shouldn't tolerate that as a culture. That's a straw man argument. That never happens. I don't know what to tell you. And if you look up gender dysphoria in the DSM, you will see that the treatment for gender dysphoria is to transition. Puberty blockers are incredibly safe. I would say that Mario Lopez shouldn't talk about shit that he doesn't know about. And that's with everybody. If you don't know what you're talking about, don't make stupid comments. You won't get in trouble.
On the broad range. That does not mean that there's not, again, men who act more like women or women who act more like men. They're not more effective.
With Kajabi, it's easy to take the knowledge you already have.
Damn it.
And
all right, back to Ben.
Right, all of that exists, but the fact that there is a spectrum of human biology does not mean there are not poles. There are indeed poles.
Thank you. He acknowledges it's a spectrum. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. It's not a pole, it's a normal curve. Like all naturally occurring traits. They are distributed on a normal curve, Ben. There's not poles.
Right, as in P-O-L-E-S, there are poles, masculine and feminine. The left knows this. In fact, the point of the Harry Styles photo shoot is to violate those poles, right? Is to feminize masculinity. Olivia herself. The idea is to rethink masculinity as femininity, to feminize men.
No, I think the point of a Harry Styles photo shoot is that motherfucker likes wearing dresses. He's a creative person. He's very in his own head. Much like I wear fingernail polish on stage. It's just him being him and expressing himself. And you're reading too much into it like it's the fall of fucking Western civilization or some shit. God damn.
To get rid of toxic masculinity by suggesting that men should act like women. Otherwise, it would not be headline-worthy for Harry Styles to put on a dress. Right? If it were just about Harry Styles, again, playing with dress the way he says that it is, then he would have dressed up as a giant baby in a diaper with
I don't think it's headline-worthy that he dressed up in a dress to begin with. The only reason I'm talking about it is because dumb fucks like you talked about it. And this will probably be one of my most watched videos on YouTube because shit like this tends to get a lot of views.
With a pacifier, right? Like, he's not doing that. He's dressing up in a women's gown because he's attempting to make a point, which is that men should be more like women. Right? And the left knows this. They know this. They openly say that
you should let children choose their gender identity.
Constructed. Right?
You shouldn't force them to play with pink toys or blue toys. Or to play with trucks if you're a boy, or dolls if you're a girl. It's okay to play with dolls if you're a man or a boy. There are such things as tomboys. We have a very skewed understanding, and Ben even admitted it. All these norms are just constructs. And a lot of it is society forcing it on people. And there are so many people who are repressed. That's why suicide rates are so high in the LGBT community. Because society tells them they're wrong or they're sinners or some shit. But they're just wanting to express themselves as free individuals. And idiots like Ben Shapiro have a problem with it.
They say that gender is actually inborn, but also socially constructed, right? They want it both ways. They say that gender is a social construction and that femininity is just men cramming down the patriarchy on women. But they will also say that gender, which is the manifestation of biology, right? But they don't think so. They think the gender is just your femininity or masculinity is actually inborn and inherent to you. So they say that a man can be a woman, even though there's no biological underpinning. So gender is real, but also it's socially constructed.
Well, he's wrong on that. The brains of trans people are different. Sorry, Ben. Get your science straight. Thought your wife was a doctor. Didn't you go to Harvard?
It's all self-contradictory, but let's assume for a second the honesty of some folks on the left who at least acknowledge that femininity and masculinity exist. They also have indicators, outward indicators. Dress has been, for virtually all time and in virtually all cultures, an outward indicator, which is why the Bible explicitly says that
dress has been forced on people. And I'm glad that I was trying to pause it before that, but hey, he brought up the Bible. Yeah, it's been a religious thing. The way you dress has been forced on you by religion.
it is against cross-dressing, for example. Okay, but in virtually every culture, men and women dress differently. This does not mean that all men dress the same and all women in all cultures dress the same. It means that in every culture, there is a distinction between how men dress and how women dress. The stupidest form of the argument that I saw yesterday.
You call it a normal opinion. What does normal opinion mean? It's a misinformed opinion is what it is, because I explained it to you. Mario Lopez doesn't know what he's talking about. He said some shit that's transphobic. So, bye-bye. Mario Lopez isn't that funny either.
Yesterday online was, well, in Scotland, they wear kilts. That means that a man in America wearing a skirt, a floofy skirt, is the same as a man in Scotland wearing a kilt. No, because they also distinguish between...
Harry Styles had a kilt on!
Women wear clothes in Scotland, too. It's just that men wear different clothes than men in America. It's the most idiotic thing. People are like, well, yeah, back in Roman times, men wore togas. You understand? Those were basically just dresses. Yes. And women wore a different form of clothing. At the time, women and men were distinguishable by dress. They have always been distinguishable by dress in virtually every human culture. And noting that men wore floofier stuff in the 16th century in Britain does not change the fact that women wore completely different clothing in the 16th century in Britain. Right? This is a category error, you morons, to suggest that because men wore something.
I never said that. You're strawmanning me. Like, I never said that. I said that Mario Lopez was misinformed. I don't think 3-year-olds can decide on much of anything. But yeah, you shouldn't force gender on children. Ben even admitted it. It's a social construct. And there's nobody allowing children to change their gender. Puberty blockers is what we're talking about. They're completely safe. And like, hey, we have had so many people. That's not what you said Mario was saying. I miscommunication here. I don't understand it. On the topic of young kids getting gender changes, and he rightly said the parents are crazy. But I pointed out, kids aren't getting gender changes. Kids get puberty blockers. That's not gender changes. So that they can make the decision on their own later. And you have to go through a psychological evaluation to have this done. Talk to some trans people, please. They'll explain this stuff to you. Having trans friends is very helpful in discussions like this. Please ask them. And never, ever listen to anybody like Mario Lopez or Ben Shapiro on matters of gender. They're not biologists. They don't know what they're talking about. But plenty of biologists have wrote on the subject and will tell you gender is a spectrum. Ben even admitted it's a social construct that we force on children.
Like a kilt in Scotland, that if you transferred over to America would look more feminine. Therefore, a man wearing a skirt in America in 2020 is just the same in the male-female paradigm as a man wearing a kilt in Scotland in 1590.
I'm done with Ben Shapiro's bullshit. But shall we talk about a man in a dress? And his name is the Pope. And apparently, the Pope is kind of horny. The Vatican is probing Pope Francis. God, I can't talk anymore. The Vatican is probing Pope Francis's Instagram liking of Natalia. I've never even heard of her before. Natalia Garabato. Yeah, I fucked your name up. I am so sorry. Oh, it was a booty pic too, eh? He appeared to like a post on her Instagram. Sources told Catholic News Agency that an internal probe is underway into the act involving Natalia Garabato. I assume she's Italian, right? There aren't 30 plus genders. That's not a thing. Nobody said it was. That's a straw man argument. Gender is a spectrum. Most people fall within 2 standard deviations of the mean. So that's like 99.6% of people fall within the normal, that's why it's called the normal curve, distribution of naturally occurring traits. And there is a segment of people that fall outside of that. Gender is a spectrum. There's not 30 genders. That's a stupid joke that right-wingers make, and God, is it played out. News reports surfaced on November 13th that Francis' verified account liked the post, but it was then removed on November 14th. I like the picture they put up next to her. Now, I'd never heard of the woman before, so hey. Because once again, it'll get views on YouTube. Let's check out a video that's the best of her TikTok. Natalia Garabato. Nothing wrong with a little gratuitous booty. Now look at this woman. She could kick Ben Shapiro's ass. I don't know that she's my type of woman, but apparently the Pope was really into her. Turned it off because they're probably using copyrighted music. I'll get a strike on YouTube. We'll watch her dance for a little bit, though. Endorsed by the Vatican. That is exactly how I pick up the TV remote. Now, she's wearing pants. Has Ben Shapiro got a problem with that? She's dressing like a man. Is that the downfall of society? But seriously, in a fight, you'd pick her over Ben Shapiro, right? You'd pick me over Ben Shapiro, and that's a shame. I'd love to fight Ben Shapiro. I wouldn't want to fight Ben Shapiro as much as I would like to piss in Dan Crenshaw's eye hole. But I would still like to fight Ben Shapiro. But if I had to pick one or the other, fight Ben Shapiro or piss in Dan Crenshaw's eye hole, I'd piss in Dan Crenshaw's eye hole. Alright, that's going to do it for me. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We will see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol.